Well, today's project will be little bangers or sausage links. They're just a very, very basic recipe. And the basic recipe only has 3 ingredients: salt, pepper, and red pepper. And really, even this was almost a alternate that you don't really have to have, but it's pretty well much in every basic recipe. We've got mixing bowl and spoon. Got some tying strings. We've got sheep casing. Now the reason we're using sheep casing, even though this is traditionally a hog type of sausage, we're using venison in this case. But the reason we use sheep is because they're a smaller diameter. The animal's smaller and the casing's smaller. It's in size. You have sheep, then hog, then beef natural casing. They step up in size. So we've got our natural casings over here soaking. We've exchanged the water a couple times so that we've got them desalinated or desalted. We've got a clean setup over here ready to go. We've got our filled plastic wrapped down, so we've got that all nice and clean. We've got our stuffer set up, and I think this time, because we're only going to do about 3 pounds, I think I'll just mix this by hand so I don't have to clean up my other equipment. So without any further ado, here we go. And as always, we'll give you the recipe as we go. Now this is how much meat we have for the size of our batch. It's 3 pounds, 2.7 ounces, or 3 pounds, 3 ounces essentially, or about 3 pounds, and what is that, a fifth? 3 1/5 pounds? Okay, that's close enough to know about how much to mix our spices with. Here we go. There's our spices for our 3 pounds, 3 ounces of deer meat with no more than about 10% pork fat. Now here is our recipe. In our recipe you'll see I have little cheat notes to the side on our spices because I often make this recipe just with a package of deer meat by itself. So, you know, 1.5 pounds of deer meat, that helps me not have to scratch my head too early in the morning when I mix it up in a bowl and, you know, make little patties for the morning's breakfast. Now you can make it, as the recipe says, 100% deer, as long as you have a binder in it, in this case pork fat, or you can make it 50-50, half deer, half pork, or you can make it pure pork if you like. It's a very simple recipe. Time was in America that every working farm had a recipe very similar to this. It's basically just salt, pepper, and red pepper if you like. So it's about as simple as you're going to get. Now there's our meat mixed, and I guess I should say a little something about when you mix by hand. The common sense stuff is, of course, wash your hands good with soap and water before you put them in the meat. We have a little sample piece that we're going to microwave up in a minute, and I wouldn't be a bit surprised if it tastes like sausage. Now this recipe, as I mentioned earlier, is just the basics that every farm has had, and there are a lot of regional differences. One time on a visit up north, I got a recipe from a friend of mine's mother, I believe it was. Had the recipe, has a little maple syrup. While down in the south, we use a little sage in some of our recipes, and up north, they use a little maple syrup, real maple syrup, not that fake cheap stuff you get down in some of these grocery stores, but the real stuff. Had the recipe, but I lost it because when you have to re-enter the south, if you've been up north, you have to burn your clothes, and I left that recipe in the pocket. I'm just teasing with you. I made a copy of my recipe before I had to burn my clothes. Well, there's a little sample. That tastes like a basic sausage. It's got it a little bit done, but that tastes like a basic sausage. And I guess we're ready to squeeze them out into little links and go from there. Well, we have transferred the sausage batter into the stuffer, and we're going to put it up in there. And I guess while I do that, I need to make sure that I remind y'all one more time. I'm just playing with you about that whole Yankee thing. Truth is, I ain't gonna burn my good hunting clothes. I did need a new set of boots though. Now there's a pile of the little bangers already squished out there and tied. You don't have to tie them. You can twist them. You can blanch them. You can, depends on if you're going to cook them right now or if you're going to freeze them in a package. I'm going to freeze them in a package. But you slide the casing onto the extruder tube, and then you just turn the handle and pull them out to the desired length. Tie them if you're going to tie them, or twist them whichever way you want to do it. That's all there is to it. As you do the casings, you have whatever style you want to do. You can do individuals where you tie a knot, run a little piece, tie to the other side of the knot, and run individual sausage. You can cook them and then cut them. They work very well that way. The other way, fastest way, is to tie one end and do the alternating twist back and forth. You can actually catch that whole casing in one hand as you do it. Probably intermediate way is to do it like this, where you extrude the individual sausages, stop, twist, and where the individual twist is, you put a string, if you can get it to cooperate when you're on camera. Like that. And that way they will stay fixed lengths. It's just a personal choice depending on how you're going to cook them and whether or not you pre-blanch them or just cook them straight up. We're packed up. This is the first sausage recipe I've posted dealing with breakfast sausage. This is sausage links done with natural sheep casings, about 3 1-pound packages approximate, done however you want to as far as individuals, wrapped, twisted, or tied, and that's all there is to it. Now when you're done stuffing, you need to wash your units completely. You need to make sure that they're clean and sanitized, dishwasher, anything that is dishwasher safe. Clean the tubes with brushes if you have them. Make sure that they're clean of any type of debris. Make sure that you can remove removable parts such as that silicone ring like that. Remove it, get in the groove with the brush of the piston. Same thing with threaded parts such as these. Make sure that you get in those, clean those threads real well. Make sure that all pieces of meat or debris are completely removed. The unit is cleaned and sanitized, ready for your next batch of sausage.